Alrighty, and with that, everything should be good now. And we're still in Fellwood. I wonder, should we still be in Fellwood? Or is there maybe somewhere better we could be right now, besides Fellwood? What do you guys think? Let me see what I have available, as far as places we could go. How's it going, Sedark? How is it going, everyone? How's it going, comrade? Let's see here. Open a new window. Anyone heard of Air America? I mean, yes, but I don't know anything besides that they exist, I think. Let's see. Conrad, you said you're not good? That is not good. You know what? Do we go here? Do we go to the Deep Run tram? I think we go to the Deep Run tram today. There we go. Said stream is unlisted? Showing as public for me. Wonder why it's showing as unlisted. Yeah, it's definitely showing as public on my end. Don't know why it's doing that. That's weird. That's real weird. So, what is everybody here doing to celebrate Ronald Reagan's birthday? For me, I would rather spend some time dancing on his grave, if possible. That would be a 10 out of 10 for me. But, then again, I am also a lefty, so Reaganomics already just sits really badly with me. Like, really, really badly. You can't piss on his grave, so you'll do nothing? That's fair. That is entirely fair. Reminding everyone that Ronald Reagan promoted the Nazi-backed Holodomor narrative in the 80s. Yep. Lefty is in left wing, not left-handed. I'm right-handed, but left wing. My genetics are right, but my economics are left. How's it going, Pedro? Hope things are going okay in Brazil. What am I doing on Reagan's birthday? Not celebrating Reagan's birthday. How's it going, Alexander Fair? Oh, you guys are going to have to let me know if the screen or if the stuff behind me is giving you any, like, motion sickness or anything. I've had complaints about this particular background before. So I don't know if there's going to be some issues with it on my end. I'm not 100% certain. So please keep me posted on that. That would be incredibly helpful. Not really liking the background, not digging the background. Okay. Fair enough. I know that I've had issues with it in the past. I wanted to give it a shot again and see if it was going to continue to be an issue. So now that I know that it is going to be an issue, we go ahead and hop out of that. How's some calming waterfall stuff? Like that? That may work. As soon as I can get it to work for me. Takes a second to work. There we go. Okay. Cool, cool, cool. There we are. This one will work. There's some nice flowing water there. Just glad you don't use any flashing backgrounds. I used to, back in the day. Back when I used to use stock backgrounds that I took from a website that gave them out for free, there were some more flashing graphics in my backgrounds. But then I developed the habit of going into video games that I like and taking the background straight from those video games. So that all of my backgrounds would be unique to me and they are only mine. Like I said, it used to be ages ago that I had the motion backgrounds. But I found that stuff like this represented my channel a little better because Vice Rhino already did the psychedelic background things, and I wanted a way to set my channel apart, at least aesthetically. So here we are. So, that all said, you should grab areas from Final Fantasy XIV. See, the thing is though I don't play Final Fantasy XIV, I grab areas from the games that I do play. But I've grabbed backgrounds from World of Warcraft, I've grabbed backgrounds from Sonic Adventure, I've grabbed backgrounds from Resident Evil, and I've grabbed backgrounds from Sonic Generations. Like, here. This is one I can't use right now, but this is a background that I've used on previous videos that I took from Sonic Generations. Because I found out how to remove my model from Sonic Generations so that I could do that. And I actually want to start using these backgrounds again too, but they're going to take me a little bit. But, like, I really like backgrounds like that. Did anything else happen with the anti-SJW YouTube commenter that you shared on Twitter? No, not really. Nothing major. Nothing major. It is at this time that I realized that I needed to refresh my device. Give me a sec. Boop. 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 Aha. Wait, what? No, wait, what? Why is it not grabbing that? Okay, hold on. Devices. What if I did this? Would that work? Would... That's not working as much as I wanted it to. What about if I do that? Okay, there we go. That kind of works. That works a little bit. I'm glad that works. This could have been much more awkward had it just kept not working. Alrighty. So what's wrong with being an SJW only? So there's... Let me maybe get some nuance in here for this real quick, because there is a dividing line, okay? So there's nothing wrong with being an SJW. However, there is a line not to cross. So if you are an SJW in the sense that you fight for social justice, which is what most SJWs are, it's fine, whatever. Nothing wrong with that. That's what I am. But if you're an SJW in the sense that you are toxic and you take every opportunity you can to try to, like, claw somebody down merely for existing, and you don't give anybody the opportunity to basically, like, recompense for shit that they've done, then that's a toxic SJW, or as would also be called a woke scold. Like, it's one thing to fight for social justice, and it's one thing to take people down who are being anti-social justice. It's another thing entirely to rip somebody apart for every little thing they do, at every instance, and attack them personally and try to ruin their lives. Yeah, it's the difference between loving animals and being part of PETA. Like, an SJW is like a vegetarian. A woke scold is like a member of PETA. As you go further and further down that line and become more and more of an extremist, things get harder to justify. Your actions get worse and worse. The worst part about it, though, is that when it comes to a woke scold type person, a lot of those positions, it's very hard to argue against, because you end up agreeing with the person 99% of the time. Oh, I've seen that vegan teacher, Dix. I'm trying to compile a handful of episodes that I want to do on her. But I need to get the specific TikToks from her. Because every now, like, a lot of her TikToks are benign. And then it's like 1 out of every 10 is this absolute fustercluck of a toxic mess that needs to be flushed down a toilet. Yeah, if there's a minority group that wants to speak for themselves and an SJW feels the need to speak for them, but even that has a little bit of nuance. So if the minority is somebody like say they're the Hodge twins, and then you have to kind of have the conversation with them that, like, you know what, you guys are conservative influencers, you are actively working against everyone else. You know, Pika, it's not the vegan debate. It's that vegan teacher. Her specifically. She is awful. And I want to cover her, but I like I said, I need to get about 4 or 5 of her TikToks that are really awful. Then again, Dix, if you happen to find them and you want to send them to me, then I will gladly tackle her on this episode right now. Is she that bad? Here, let me go ahead and sing you a song. I'm going to sing you a song that she hosted on her channel. And you tell me how bad she is, okay? If you want to get to heaven, you better be vegan. Why the fuck aren't you vegan? That shit. Now, I got a question for you. Did God advocate for veganism? Because last I checked, he didn't. But her position that if you are not vegan, you're going to burn in hell forever. Singing is behind a stubborn paywall, yes, but this is a very particular instance. This is a specific. I consented to this. Yeah, the God who likes barbecue. That God. That God apparently is not the big thing. Okay, so I do have a couple of pieces of news before we get into the first topic. Okay? First piece of news is very, very interesting. Give me just a second. Okay, so here we are. Here's the first. Go away. Here's the first interesting thing. So apparently, I am being added into VTuber groups, which, you know, neat. Secondly, more awkwardly, also maybe good thing. Let's see here. Where'd it go? Where did it go? Apparently VTube Studio follows me now. Apparently this is a thing now. I'm maybe a little confused. But okay. Yeah, apparently the creators of the VTube Studio app are now considering me that. Pika says, "Is that a good thing?" Well, yeah. It's a good thing because it means that I'm able to I might be able to actually like break into that particular group. Like the like English VTuber group. Because apparently that's happening. Yeah, Second Life is still a thing. So yeah. I thought that'd be an interesting piece of news to show everybody. It is an unsure. You gonna join V Shoujo? I would need to know exactly what that is, because I am still new to all this as well. Though I'm definitely not joining Hololive. That's a bit big for me. So yeah, that was confusing. I don't know exactly how to feel about that. But apparently it's a thing. It's a Project Melodies thing that's basically more freelance Hololive. Oh! If it's freelance, then that's actually not that bad. Would I put on a different voice to be more popular? Not really. No. I don't think so. Like, every now and again, I'll dip into a different voice for shits and giggles for myself. But there's not a part of me that wants to present somebody other than who I am. With the exception of taking the Rule 63 Neko thing, because, like, you guys did that, and I just kind of accepted it. So, those of you who are plugged into the VTubing community more so than I am, will have to maybe help guide me through some of the politics where that's concerned, because I am unsure of how to manage some of that. But I will at least say this. I'll tilt my head back so you can see. Well, hold on. Let me fucking... Okay, I guess I could do that. You know what? Fine, I'll move here. Apparently, I actually can speak with the creators of V2 Studio. Apparently, that line of communication is open now. Again, I have no idea what any of this means for the channel or anything else, but apparently that's neat, I guess. I think that's a good thing. I think. I could be wrong. You guys would have to let me know. Because I'm unsure. Cirrus is moving left, literally. So you were talking about that vegan teacher. What's your actual opinion on veganism? My opinion on veganism is this. It is a position that is at least grounded in harming fewer living individuals on the planet. And for that, I respect it. It is, however, also a position that tends to create extremists within itself. Literally any fringe position does this. Anyone does. Right now, veganism is a fringe position, so people who become vegans tend to get isolated from friends of theirs who are not, and end up becoming more extreme as they go, as their identity becomes more and more political and politicized. And it is when that happens, when they start becoming more extremist, that I hold issues. I don't hold issues with veganism as a dietary practice. I don't hold issues with veganism as a moral proposition. I do hold issue with it as a value judgment against other people. Because I have had people make videos against me going, "Why aren't you vegan, Cirrus? Why aren't you vegan? Can I eat your cat?" And I'm just like, dude, if you're going that far, fuck you. I will beat you with your cat. Shut the fuck up. Like, when you're going that far in that conversation, I think you need to abandon the conversation. Because all you're trying to do is piss me off. That's it. And again, there are also vegans who take the position that veganism is a zero harm position. Like, it is a clean position in and of itself, which is factually not true, because the industries that are required to support vegan diets are rife with human rights abuse. But this ends up going down into the rabbit hole of, do you have any ethical consumption under capitalism? And under my position, not really. So there's also the issue where there are certain people who cannot go vegan because their bodies cannot properly digest plant protein, and they might have an issue with supplements. And this is a thing that I've seen happen a lot, where that's concerned. If person A says, "Hi, honey," you did manage it. Hello.
I made sure you weren't recording.
Okay. Thank you for doing that.
It's a lot easier for me to sneak up on you and notice that the fucking button isn't on record.
Yeah.
When you have a VTuber avatar.
True. I can't see you in the camera.
I know. But it also allows me to double check and make sure. Hello.
Yeah. So, now there's a particular position, or two positions rather. Once I can actually get this to track me, why is it not tracking me? That's weird. Hold on. Why is it not tracking me? What did I do? Jesus Christ. Okay. That's weird. That's completely weird. It all broke. It all broke. There we go. Jesus, that was weird. Anyway, so there's two positions in veganism that I have an issue with. And it comes from the forcing people into it. One, if you say that you have a medical condition that prevents you from being vegan, like you cannot digest plant protein, you might not be able to digest plants practically at all. At least not to get enough nutrition for yourself. And a vegan then goes, this is not all vegans, I hope I don't have to say this repeatedly, but they'll go, oh, what medical condition do you have? What medical condition is it? What is the specific issue? Let me look it up. Let me research your condition. Maybe you can find a doctor who can help. Maybe you can get a dietitian. You need to get a vegan-friendly dietitian who can help you. You need to get a good doctor. You need to get a better doctor. Okay, now I want you to take everything that I just said, because this was part of an actual fucking conversation that I was a part of on Twitter. This is public shit. Take everything I said and replace I can't be vegan with I can't work because of my disabilities. And it's the same conversation that conservatives have been having to shit on people with their ableism for years. Just think about that. That conversation right there. It's a fucked up conversation, but it happens. The other issue that I have is there's a particular reductio ad absurdum for veganism that I've encountered, and it's again, this was in a conversation that I had specifically on my Discord, and it was the pro-suicide vegan position. I laid out a scenario to this individual, and this scenario is this. Let's say I live in the woods, which I do, and I have a hunting weapon, which I do, and I have ammunition for hunting, which I do. And let's say that I do not have enough money to afford food this month. I have no money, I can afford no food. There is a deer outside my door. I can shoot the deer, and I can survive. Or I can starve because I want the deer to live. What do I do? Their first position was, if you can afford a hunting rifle or you can afford a hunting weapon, then you can afford beans. To which I had to respond, that's not how this works. If I bought a weapon 3 years ago when my financial situation was different, my financial situation today might not be the same. It's the same. It's the conservative argument. That's the conservative argument against tattoos. I don't like tattoos. I don't. I really do not like them. I think they're very unattractive. But if somebody wants to get a tattoo, that's their business. The conservative argument against tattoos goes like this. If you could afford a tattoo, you could afford your house payment. So they'll look at your skin and see that you got a tattoo 4 or 5 years ago and say, you were able to afford that, so you should be able to afford your bills now. Except the financial situation that somebody was in 5 years ago is not the financial situation they're in now. You see how many of these arguments end up just being conservatives' arguments? Because it's the same thing. So I finally got them to budge and said, no. If I bought all this stuff years ago, then that's it. That's all. It doesn't matter. I have the ammo. I don't have the money. I am starving. I need to survive. What do I do? And mind you, this particular vegan, this is not all vegans, this particular vegan argued that it would be better for them to starve to death than kill the deer. And that was the point where I was done with the conversation. Pointing out that if your position is necessarily pro-suicide. Not pro-euthanasia because I've made a choice for myself. No. You are advocating that there is a moral responsibility for me to let myself die. Then your position is completely untenable, and you need to shut the fuck up and abandon the conversation. Because you're no better at that point. If you're so willing to save the deer's life that you're willing to kill the human, then you are now functionally no different. You are responsible for the exact same amount of loss of life that you were trying so desperately to advocate for, and your position is meaningless. Again, this is not all vegans that take this position. Most vegans who I know have no problem with you eating meat because of a dietary issue, or you eating because you have to survive. But this is a real conversation that I have had under, like in my Discord, publicly, with another individual. So, there's where I have an issue specifically where veganism manifests in extreme positions. I don't have a problem with veganism. Vegans can eat what they want to, can eat what they need to. They can do the things that they think are going to make the world a better place. That is fine. But when you let yourself fall into extremism, I hold issue. And fuck you if you think otherwise. Now, for the people in the audience who eat meat, as I do, can we get rid of some other conservative arguments out of your vocabulary? All of you, please and thank you. Every one of you who makes the argument, we are omnivores, therefore we can or should eat meat. Stop it. It's a bad argument. It is a shitty argument. Would you like to know why? You're appealing to naturalism. You're appealing to the deontological purpose of the body. Your position is no different than the conservative who argues that homosexual sex is bad because it's unnatural. It's the same thing. If you say, well, we evolved to eat meat, so we should eat meat, no. That is not an argument at all. You're appealing to tradition, you're appealing to nature, you're not actually functioning within the realm of a cogent philosophical argument. You're engaging in multiple fallacies at once, and I just named them. If you want to advocate for a meat-eating position, advocate on the basis of sapience. Advocate on the basis of nutrition. Advocate on the basis of individual health. Advocate on value judgments between sapience and sentience. Advocate on those things. Do not advocate on the deontological purpose of the body. Because again, just like when I pointed out the issues with vegan arguments, you're making a conservative argument that you wouldn't accept in any other situation except the one that benefits you. So don't. There are other positions you can take as well. You can take a leftist position on it. It is cheaper for a working class person to get all of their nutrients from a balanced diet that includes meat than it is for them to try to afford supplements on top of vegetable-based diets. Pika said, isn't Anita a TERF? I haven't seen that Anita Sarkeesian's a TERF. I know she is a feminist. But I've literally never heard anything about her being a TERF. Yeah, Ariel is a TERF. She thinks that trans women are taking all the women away from her, so she loses options as a lesbian or some shit. Another anti-vegan argument that's getting thrown around is, but other animals eat meat. That is a bad argument as well. Because other animals are sentient and will do things strictly for survival. They don't generally make moral judgments on what they are or are not doing at any given time. Because they do not make moral judgments, they can't be considered in your moral proposition. The only way you can use the habits of animals is if you try to say that something is unnatural, therefore. So if I say homosexual sex is unnatural, I'm wrong because homosexual sex happens naturally in nature. That does not mean you should or should not do it. I think you should because, fuck it. Do whatever makes you happy. But to say that we should eat meat because animals eat meat does not work. Just letting you know, vegans don't always have to take a lot of supplements. I know many do. Yeah. The point about affordability still stands. Affordability and convenience. If I'm working 2 jobs and I only have time to get fast food, and the vegan options on fast food are incredibly limited, and I can't... my mental health will not take it into consideration, then guess what? I'm going to go get a fucking burger. I'm going to go get a fucking chicken patty. But again, if when the question comes down to, do you have a problem with vegans? No. I have a problem with extremists. I have a problem with people who eat meat who use "it's a manly thing" as an argument. I have a problem with people who appeal to natural fallacies when they say they should eat meat. And I have a problem with vegans when they shame people and when they engage in extreme behavior. Advanced Lamb says, ironic that Cyrus complained about people using convenient arguments that they wouldn't accept otherwise, but he's okay with people claiming medical exemption from veganism, but not wearing a mask. Because where wearing a mask is concerned, there's only a handful of medical exemptions you can actually argue. Like, we can demonstrate that some of those things are wrong. And the difference here with veganism and with wearing a mask, if you'd like to be a fucking moron, which you are, is that where a mask is concerned, we're talking about your ability to not harm other people. If you're not wearing a mask and you end up having COVID, you infect other people. This is all centered around human beings. Are you saying that masks cause serious harm? Because I'm saying you're a moron because if you're going to engage in the ironic that you complain about this, but I'm gonna go ahead and do it. Andrew Blitz says, what exactly do we miss out on nutrition without eating meat? Yeah, if your body is not able to digest plant protein very well, and your body... Advanced Lamb. Please tell me what medical exemption functions where a mask is concerned. Please. Please, go ahead. I'm listening. Why is harm to humans worse than harm to animals? Because I value humans more than I value animals. I value sapient people more than I value mere sentient creatures. And everybody makes a similar value judgment because everybody has a dividing line somewhere. Yes, Bleck, you were muted the whole time. I never heard a single word from you. So, Advanced Lamb, you have no idea if there are any medical exemptions that could function here, yet you're willing to make the argument. Well, I already did the research for you. And none of the health agencies in the United States specify any health conditions that would constitute a mask exemption. I already got you covered here. John Smith says, for €5, thanks for actually understanding the sentience versus sapiens difference. Can't remember the last time that I heard that used correctly. Oi, oi, oi. Advanced Slam, the difference here is that in material reality, there is not a medical exemption. There is a medical exemption from veganism, your body not being able to process that food. I actually have friends who do suffer from various diseases or various issues that prevent them from digesting plants correctly and have to subsist on meat more so than other people. These do exist in material reality. I am a materialist after all. You're right, Advanced Slam. It is pretty toxic. I'm willing to own that. Advanced Slam, if you're going to make the position that you can be medically exempt from veganism, but that doesn't make eating meat okay, then you're saying that somebody's entire existence has to be predicated on being bad. You're effectively willing to shame somebody for existing. Would you say it would cause less harm to this person for them to shoot themselves? I mean, they would consume fewer lives throughout the course of their life. Would that be better? There'd be less harm involved. You can say it should be minimized, but my position is going to be, are you willing... Like, are you saying it's not okay just because it costs the lives of other people? Or not people, but animals? Like, if that's going to be your only position, then... Okay, cool. Congratulations, you get to be on your moral high horse while everybody else lives in reality. There you go. Enjoy. I'll go ahead and say this. If you want to be vegan, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with believing that being vegan is right. But I do have a problem with you pushing it on other people. So maybe stop doing that. Get off the moral high horse. You're doing nothing better than a standard Christian evangelical trying to push their Christianity on someone else. Ignoring that their material reality and conditions are different. That said, I'm going to be done with the vegan conversation here. I was asked a question, answered as best I could. Okay, so if you must eat meat to live, it is immoral. Okay, cool. So if you accept that position, then can you accept the equal position that if someone else determines that it is in their best interests to eat meat? Or do you solely get to make that judgment? Advanced Lamb, I don't care about your diet. I don't. Like, you can say, okay, I'm not vegan. Cool. Whatever. It's still a bad position. Cool. Well, I will judge in my own estimation that my minimum meat needs are an entire plate of chicken tendies per day. And there we will be. So, with all that madness out of the way, I am done with the vegan conversation. As far as I will consider it past that will be maybe if I tackle vegan teacher, which I do want to. Dix, you said that you sent me a video from vegan teacher, but I don't see it? So would I tackle vegan gains? It depends on what he did. Depends on what he ended up advocating for.
That squirrel looks familiar.
Andrea's doing it. I don't think realizing that I could live vegan on food stamps taught... I think realizing that I could live vegan on food stamps taught me a lot. It taught me that I can be cheap. I can be cheap, but the planning and creativity were a lot, and it's not realistic to it for everyone to expect that. Look, Advanced Slam, I will own that I responded toxically. I will. And I probably should not have. But at the same time, from my perspective, if you are able to accept it, if you're not, that's entirely okay. And also, I don't control the chat. I can tell them to not jump on you, but I can't tell them to not give their opinions. Like, you made a statement publicly. If I say something stupid, my entire chat will jump on me. I can apologize for the toxicity, but at the same time, I do not... What's the best way to word this? As somebody who has been told to kill myself for eating meat, I'm at the point in that particular conversation where I am going to respond toxically. Advanced, if you consider it harassment, then that's on you. Go have a wonderful day. I mean, if he wants to think I'm not being honest, that's entirely on him. Decor Dole, here's a little bit to help you get your plate of chicken tenders a day. I tried to be vegan, and that's when I found out I was anemic and my body wouldn't take supplements. It wasn't fun. I am sorry about that, Decor Doll. Thank you very much for the $10 super chat, though. I do greatly appreciate it. I'm literally using convenient arguments. Didn't you say you were leaving? No, if you don't think humans should suffer for the sake of animals, like, I'm not saying you have to leave. You can leave if and when you want. No, guys, do not say help Advanced Lamb out the door. If they want to stay, they can stay. If they want to leave, they can leave. It is entirely up to them. This is why lefties get made fun of. So certain you're correct and even allow a toxic community that doesn't allow differing opinions. You know I'm right. Well, I don't know you're right. Advanced Slam, I don't know you're right. In fact, actually, I disagree with you, and that's why I'm here. If you want to say that I know you're right, and then that I'm still holding this position, and then argue that you're not saying that I'm being dishonest... That's just confusing. I need to move things around so I can actually see. Yeah, we're done with the conversation. I've explained that I'm okay with veganism and that I understand that it has its moral positions, and that my issue is strictly with extreme veganism, and that I am okay with people being vegan and also eating meat. And I am not going to be the one that determines for them that they do or do not have a medical condition when I know that those medical conditions exist. I don't know how many times I have to say it, but I think that's as far as I'm going to say it. With all that said. Put in video requests and realize it's probably easier. Fair. So in that sense, are you pro-choice of diet? Yes. I am pro-choice of diet. Fog says, sorry, I have to go. Just got bad news about my mother. I am sorry about that. Hopefully everything turns out all right, but I'm hoping that that can.
Today, like every day, I went to listen to the animals.
Oh my god. Let's see.
It's
Why? No, TikTok, stop! Fucking dumbass fucking
On factory
website.
farms and in slaughterhouses.
No, stop. Dumb fucking website. Oh my god. This website needs to die. I'm gonna leave that there. Wow, every time I click to the tab, it automatically tries to bring it back. We'll handle that later then. No. Andrew, I don't know what part about a diet being a choice is hard to understand. And I can accept that being vegan is the position that causes less harm overall. That does not suddenly mean anything significant, though. You're literally treating meat eating like it's some fucking religion when you use language like that. If it is the truth, shouldn't it survive skepticism? Unless you're meaning that somewhere else. Unless you're meaning that in some other way. I am all over the place right now. Yeah, no, Andrew, I think I misread that. That's on me. I'm sorry. Yeah. We're done with the vegan / meat eater discussion. I am... Bleh. Icecat says, I like your videos, but can I ask you something? What do you think about people who complain about politics in their comic books? So it depends on what politics you're complaining about. To complain about politics in comic books in general, is kind of a dumb position. Okay, Advanced Lamp. If there were medical exemptions for masks, would that make it fine to not wear them in every context? So it depends. If we accept a medical exemption for a mask, then we have to accept that this person needs to also get themselves tested for COVID. And tested just about every week, just in case. That way they do not infect other people around them. They could also just stay home. That is an option as well. Though not everybody has that option if they have mental issues. If they need to be outside in order to cope mentally, then I would support that. But they need to get themselves tested so that they are not harming other people around them. Because otherwise we're just accepting that. Yeah, there could be expectations for harm minimization. I agree with that. But you cannot be the moral arbiter of that yourself. And shaming people for eating meat, for instance, or telling them you need to eat less, or what have you, I don't find to be a very effective position. I keep saying I'll abandon the rest of it. No, Advanced Slam, I know you're not a moral arbiter, but I have met vegans who consider themselves to be the moral arbiters. Again, referring back to the conversation with the vegan who literally gave me the pro-suicide position of veganism as their argument. It's also an issue where we have to determine how we're measuring harm. Just think it's weird that you think people are entitled to eat whatever quantity of animals they want? Then what would you propose? Do you propose a legal limit on the amount of animals someone can eat? Do you propose that we socially shame people to lower the amount of animals that they eat? Like, what is your... How does this position manifest in material reality? And note that this is a position based on current material reality as well. If, for instance, we lived in, say, Star Trek's universe or the universe of the Orville, where we had the ability to replicate matter, or we have access to very convenient 3D printed meat that's not ridiculously expensive, well, Advanced Land, that's the same position that I have. That's like you just explained my position. Like, I think effective harm reduction would be, and granted, I haven't said the position, so that's not exactly a thing that you would know, but my position is that I think that we need to make sure that slaughter is ethical, so that an animal has a full life before slaughter, and that slaughter is quick, and ideally at a time where that animal would be considered approaching death anyway, so that they can live a full and happy life leading up to that point. And when we have the ability to print meat, and that meat is cost-effective and can effectively replace every other food that we had beforehand, then that is functionally when I think it would be time to not necessarily ban animal slaughter, because you still have, like, farms that might not be able to afford that technology yet and survive off of the animals that they raise themselves. So I don't think banning would be the best way to go. But typically with large corporations, if you provide economic incentives for them to move to other versions of meat, you end up creating two situations. One, larger corporations would go for the most cost-effective measures, which would be the meat replacement, and you would be lowering the amount of slaughter because you would be effectively met with two scenarios where meat would be consumed. Well, three scenarios really. Scenarios of hunting, scenarios of farming for like small farms, like family-owned farms, and then you'd create a niche market for, quote, real natural meat, not unlike the organic market today. And all of those lower the amount of large-scale farming that's done. While it might be hard to convince some people to switch to lab-grown meat, if the meat costs the exact same, tastes the exact same, has the same texture, and has the same nutrients, then it's very easy to just feed them the lab-grown meat without them knowing. Like, hand somebody 2 chicken legs. 1 chicken leg grown in a lab and 1 chicken leg grown on a chicken. But yeah. Heather says, now I wouldn't eat lab-grown meat. Well, why? I'm actually curious about that one. Why would you not? Now, I'm not saying medical exemptions are a blank check, but I am saying that medical exemptions... The counter-argument that I see to medical exemptions 9 times out of 10 is, well, what's the exemption? What is this? What is this? What is this? And it's just as invasive as ableist arguments. We do also have the problem that we live in a environment that is based on consumption. Not in the sense that we live in a capitalist environment, but we live in a world based on consumption. So we have to find a way to eventually have consumption that does not include unethical practices, and we are very far away from being able to do that. Heather, wait, hold on. Hold on. That position confuses me. You don't consider lab-grown meat to be real meat. Then what's your position on stem cells? Secondly, it could be easily contaminated in the lab. You do know that the risks of contamination for lab-grown meat are infinitely smaller than the risks of contamination in regular meat that exists naturally, right? The risk is infinitely smaller for lab-grown meat grown in a controlled environment. And every opportunity to release a superbug into lab-grown meat exists, and exists in far greater numbers for natural meat. Like, that's a confusing position. Like, as an example, let's say we lived in Star Trek's environment. Let's say you live in Star Trek's environment and meat replicators are a thing. food replicators are a thing, because that's a thing in Star Trek. If a food replicator is a thing, and you can create a fully nutritional, full tasting, full everything steak meal, how is it any less real because it was made by rearranging molecules than being grown on an animal, who themselves are rearrangements of molecules, just slower? Like, that's confusing to me. That's understandable, Advanced Lamb. Like I said, I responded toxically due to the fact that this is a debate that I wouldn't say I'm invested in, but I am tired of, because the reductio ad absurdums I've seen of it break down into you should kill yourself. And when a position breaks down that way, there's a part of my brain that just immediately shuts off. Heather says, I don't think there's any evidence that lab-grown meat will less likely to be contaminated. Also, I mean, superbugs like MSRA, which are encouraged to evolve because of our standards of sanitation. Heather, wait, so let me ask you something. You say there's no evidence that lab-grown meat would be less likely to be contaminated, but if lab-grown meat is grown in a sterile environment and our regular meat is grown in a bacteria-filled environment, the body, is that not in and of itself evidence? Like, by itself, is that not evidence that it is less likely to be contaminated? How will we be able to ensure it's sterile? The same way we ensure that meat is as sterile as we can get it right now, with regulations. Like, your argument right now about how do we ensure it's sterile, how do we ensure that it doesn't have these things, I agree that these are things that have to be considered, yes, but you have to understand that when you apply those arguments, if you apply them unilaterally, you end up saying that I cannot consume medication. I cannot consume, whatchamacallit, I cannot consume vaccines. I cannot consume a supplement. I cannot consume anything grown in a lab because I don't know if it's sterile. I don't know if it's been tampered with. I don't know any of those things. All those issues exist with everything I listed, as well as lab-grown meat. And I'm not saying that the meat would be sterile. I'm saying that it is grown in a sterile environment. Yeah, there will be some issues with lab-grown meat, but that's for us to figure out then. That's for us to figure out once we get it. Once we get it economically viable, then we have to figure out how to make it, or then we start figuring out what issues exist with it. Okay. With that, now I'm going to hop off the vegan conversation. I'd also suggested stop in the chat too, if possible. Okay, so I will say this as well, though. Advanced Slam and Ocean Fire. Wow, that's loud. Come here, Baba. If you're going to be a loud kitty, you need pets. So, there is a stereotype that all vegans are city-dwelling hipsters and all meat eaters are some form of, like, barbarous redneck. Maybe we shouldn't use those particular arguments against each other. They're bad stereotypes. I do agree that there is a large proportion of toxic masculinity in meat-eating advocacy, and there's a large amount of privilege that comes from veganist advocacy. But that does not... Those things should not factor into arguments. Okay, quartering. We've spent 40 minutes on veganism. Forty whole minutes. Jesus. Move on. Nothing to see here. Keep it moving, people. Yep. Veganism is still less painful than Jeremy. It's not that you're wrong. Do I? Ha, there it is. I got it. I have the conversation ready. The quartering cometh. I already miss veganism. Yep. Yep. Okay. Just making sure that everything that I need to look at is where it needs to be. Okay, cool. Jeremy's a fun punching bag. Well, this will be the first time I've punched up Jeremy, so this will be fun. Anyway, I need to change the music because all of the sound test shit from Bomberman Hero is playing right now, and it's fucking me up hard. There we go. Crisis City. That'll be the backdrop of today's thing. It'll be fine. It'll be perfect. Advanced Lamb, you'd prefer living in a rural forest? Okay, head over here. I live in a rural forest. I can walk out and go like pet turkeys. God damn it. I have to use the restroom before we start. It's not long. It just hit. Probably the coffee. Alright, time to handle Mr. P's in his basement. The Quatering is gonna throw a tantrum. Okay. God, I don't want to handle this shit. I do not like this individual, but... Okay. I have never covered the Quatering before. And that feels really weird to think about. That this is somebody who is so prolific for anti-SJWs, and yet I have not touched him on this channel. Now, granted, I can understand there's at least some benefit to not touching Jeremy. But let's go ahead and dive right into the actual issue at hand here. The issue at hand is that BioWare is going to be making a Legendary Edition of Mass Effect, the trilogy. Previously, getting the trilogy has been kind of awkward for a lot of people. If you're a Nintendo fan, you can really only get Mass Effect 3. It's on the Wii U. If you're on PC, you've got to bounce between Steam and the Epic, I believe it's the Epic Store. No, it's BioWare's thing, EA's thing. Not that I remember what the hell that thing is. I forget what their particular storefront is, because they made it and then nobody cared. But if you want Mass Effect on PC, you have to go there. And on consoles, you end up having to either get old editions of the game or what have you that may or may not work on more recent hardware. So it makes sense that a Legendary Edition would be created. EA's Origins, thank you very much, Chris. I had forgotten what EA's thing was. But it's a good thing that we are getting a Legendary Edition of the game. But the Quatering, Jeremy, has some opinions on exactly how they are going to go about doing that. So, let's go ahead and jump right into that.
Hi everyone, Jeremy here from the Quatering, and I've got a little story out of BioWare here with the Mass Effect Legendary Edition. Look, I have come to expect that just about any time you're going to get a remake of a legendary game or a legendary character, if there is a good-looking woman in it, it's going to get updated.
No, not necessarily. You see, there are plenty of games that get updated versions of themselves and have good-looking women in them and don't have any issues at all. The issue with Mass Effect was that the developers, on revisiting their stuff, went, you know, maybe the camera angles being focused on a character's ass every single time was not the best thing we could have done. We could have probably done better than that. And they're basically giving people the option to tilt that camera up, from what I understand. That's not that big a deal. Like, you can still have sex in Mass Effect. You're still able to do all the lewd stuff you want. It's just camera angles where the story is concerned that are getting changed. That doesn't seem like that big an issue to me.
I'm sorry, updated. We saw this very clearly with Tifa on Final Fantasy VII Remake, which is an excellent game, but why?
Okay, so what he's talking about here is that in the Final Fantasy VII Remake, Tifa had her breasts reduced. The size of her breast was smaller. Now, as somebody who likes big boobs, I mean, just... if it's not obvious, okay? But I can see where he's coming from, except he's not coming from anywhere effective. So when Tifa had her reduction in Final Fantasy VII Remake, it's actually in line with the redesign of her character from ages ago. So if we look up Tifa from Final Fantasy VII, this is how she looked in concept art. And then, when you look at her character model, the breasts were absolutely ginormous, even compared to the original design. They're almost inflated bags. And this is the thing that people apparently cared a lot about Tifa. But if you look at her actual in-game model, it drops down in size too. The actual breast size is lowered in-game. This is a thing that happened in the original game. And, just to go ahead and point it out here, this redesign, this woke redesign with the breast reduction that he's so angry about, this is a thing that was done in Advent Children ages ago. Because this is more in line with the original design for Tifa. The original artist's idea for Tifa. Because the original artists have influence on what the in-game models look like. But they are not the original people who get to sit there and dictate everything. So when he sits here and says, this happened in Final Fantasy as well, it's a good game, but the boobies weren't big anymore. This is what he's talking about. A character who got this breast reduction in previous games in the Final Fantasy series. We had this model in Kingdom Hearts 2. We had this model in Crisis Core. And this model is being used in the Final Fantasy VII Remake, just like it was used in the Advent Children movie. Jeremy has to actively ignore, much like what happens with No Bullshit, he has to actively ignore the history of the series that he is arguing about in order to have his position. And his position is basically, she got a breast reduction and it makes me angry. And I don't get it. I don't get it at all. As somebody who, when I become a fan of something, I become a big fan of it. I end up jumping into the lore. I end up looking at the history of development. I end up doing a lot of stuff. Seeing somebody who is also a fan of these things not do that and then critique it, it strikes a bad chord with me. I'm not going to lie.
You know, you had an ethics department making her... She's still a beautiful woman.
Wait,
but why even waste time on that?
Did an ethics
an
ethics department? Did an ethics department call for a breast size reduction, or is that just not in line with the original artist's idea? The original artist had her breasts smaller. The size of Tifa's breasts is in line now with the original artist's depictions. I'm not sure if you actually did any research here. In fact, actually, I'm 100% certain that he didn't do any research here. Ethics, my cartoon boobies aren't big enough. The ethics department must have gotten involved. The SJWs, they're taking over.
BioWare now editing some of the spicy cutscenes from Mass Effect out. BioWare has...
Editing the spicy scenes out? No. They're literally just changing the camera angle slightly so that they don't just focus on ass. Ass is still going to be in those scenes. It's just not going to be the most prominent thing. You can still see all the booty you want, Jeremy. Jesus Christ.
Has confirmed that Mass Effect Legacy will feature edits to some of its more spicy cutscenes.
Sexualized cutscenes. Not spicy. Sexualized. That's the word here. If Commander Shepard is talking with an alien woman, and the conversation is about the fact that the Reapers are going to be coming to annihilate them all, and the camera is just planted directly at a character's ass the whole time, does that not read as not really understanding the gravity of the situation, not really understanding the gravity of what's going on in the story? There's nothing wrong with trying to change a scene so that it fits better cinematically. You'll still have all the porn you want on the internet, Jeremy.
Particularly those involving Cerebus officer Miranda Lawson. Announced on February 2nd, Mass Effect Legendary Edition is set to feature not only the 3 games that make up the original Mass Effect trilogy, but over 40 DLC from all 3 games, enhanced performance, visuals, graphics, and available in HDR.
Okay.
Now, these are all great things. It offers players an option to replay the game with, upgraded visuals and maybe some game-breaking bugs removed. It also allows somebody who is new to pick up everything at an affordable price and enjoy the entire trilogy. I'm a big fan of this.
Yeah, we agree. But
for Mass Effect 1, quote, we took the rough edges off it and tried to reduce the delta between 1 and 2, because 2 and 3 had a very similar look and feel. 1 tended to feel very dated. So we spent more time trying to bring it closer to 2. Well, just continued. Quote, there were some underlying systems that made it more like an RPG and less like a shooter. But
none of this has to do with what we're worried about here, but
there were other systems, like camera movement, aiming, and things that we had improved over the course of the trilogy. Bringing them into Mass Effect 1 was a no-brainer, and we tried to just smooth out the overall experience, Walters added. Quote, reducing the friction from gameplay, but not the inherently or fundamentally changing how you progress through the game, is how you invest the squad's talents and class systems and things like that. That was important. These are all very, very good. In turning their attention into providing players with a, quote, better overall experience, Walters further explained that the team gave special attention to improving the game's handling of the female version of Commander Shepard, whose character lacked customization features, and reused many of the male-centric animations from her male counterpart. Specifically for female Shepard, I think there was a lot of things we could do across the trilogy to make that better. So she's a bit more on par with the male Shepard, said Walters, whether it'll be just face and shape changes or some wrinkles or support to whatever she's kept in the light and some kind of quality level. And then specifically around the animations, we couldn't really change a lot of those, but there were times when you could change the camera to not focus on one of those animations, he continued. So male Shepard animation would have him sitting with his legs wide open in a low camera, where if you're wearing a skirt, it would be a bit unflattering. So we can't necessarily change that animation, but you can raise the camera up slightly to reduce the problem.
Okay, why is that in quotes? So, okay, look. I'm a straight dude, okay? I love titties. I like sexualized characters. But if I am playing a game and I am getting distracted by the sexualized aspects of it, and I'm no longer watching or playing because I'm invested in the story, I should have the ability to change that. If I, like, for instance, I love High School of the Dead. I love High School of the Dead as an anime. But when I go back and watch it now, it is very distracting. Because that anime has so much hypersexualization in it, and so much of it makes no sense. Like breasts jiggling around a sniper bullet as it's about to dome a zombie. Like, that stuff it doesn't make any sense to me. It wasn't as distracting when I watched it when I was younger, but when I watch it now, that stuff sticks out like a sore thumb, and it almost ruins the experience for me. And I am still incredibly attracted to women. So I would like the ability to watch that anime in a way that is not so focused on the sexiness of its characters. I would like to. It would make that anime experience more appealing to me. And I would still have the original anime at any point if I really needed to see the super sexualized version of it. It would be there. Just like with Mass Effect. If you desperately need that panty shot, the original's there. But it gets better than this. This is actually a perfect solution, Jeremy. If you want that panty shot, if you love that panty shot of Commander Shepard, then you get to keep it, because you can choose to angle the camera up or not. You can keep the camera there. Like, you can keep the camera exactly where it is. And you can keep staring at those panties, if that's what you want. None of that is being taken away from you. You're just being given the option. What's wrong with being given the option, Jeremy? I thought options were good.
I'm not really... Look, this isn't why I play video games, but I'd like to know why that's a problem. Additionally, during...
It's not that it's a problem in general, it's that for some people it's a problem. If I'm watching a space opera, I don't care so much about panty shots during an important scene. Like, and if I had the option to not deal with that and focus on parts of the scene that I care about more, that's even better. Like, do you guys remember the camera system in cutscenes in Metal Gear Solid where you could switch between different cameras and see the scene from different angles? That's perfect. I would love to see more of that. But apparently those options are bad for Jeremy. Jeremy hates that stuff. Being given the option in your video game of what you want to see, that's horrible.
During the, quote, hands-off presentation detailing the changes coming to the remaster of the sci-fi trilogy attended by Polygon, BioWare environment and character director Kevin Meek revealed that the red-headed default FemShop, who was first introduced as a playable...
FemShep. It's Commander Shepard. Female shepherd. Fem shep, not fem shop. Jesus fuck.
Character Mass Effect 3 would be available to play as throughout the entire saga. Sadly, though somewhat unsurprisingly, the original 3 games in the trilogy will not be released unaltered, as Walters reveals that the team had to make edits to some of the game's more well-rounded cutscenes. When pressed on the claims levied at the developer, and certain characters and designs such as all-female or EDI's robot body were made specifically to pander to a male audience, Walters noted that, "I do think a lot of things have evolved since the original games. I don't know if I would say we were ultra concerned about it or anything like that, but there were considerations."
Well, yeah, because, so, for those who don't know, during the Xbox 360 era, hyper-realistic graphics had not really happened yet. Compare a PlayStation 2 game to a PlayStation 3 game. Compare an Xbox game, for the most part, to an Xbox 360 game. That evolution was massive. Mass Effect was also a new IP at the time. So the idea that you could have sexualized characters in it, and even have sex with the characters in it, was used as a selling point to market that game, because it was a new IP, and they needed that marketing. The game does not need that anymore, because the game has developed a history of being one of the greatest sci-fi epics in video game history. It doesn't need sexualized marketing to carry itself anymore. But there was once a time where that was used as part of the marketing campaigns. Not necessarily that they said, oh, you can have sex and that's why you should play this game, but a lot of the word-of-mouth marketing that came from that game, from somebody who was in high school when this was happening, people going, oh my god, you can have sex in this game, it's so amazing. That is the kind of stuff that sold that game to prepubescent teens when I was that age. It doesn't need that now. It doesn't need it to stand out now. It's already a legendary series. Of course, Jeremy is gonna not worry about any of this stuff. He needs to complain that he can't coom harder in the game. But still.
According to Walters, quote, Kevin actually called out some camera cuts that were just, why was it so focused on Miranda's butt? So in some cases, we said, all right, we'll make a change here, he recalled, but ultimately the change as an entire character model or something like that wasn't really, it was a decision that was a part of his many creative decisions to show it as best as possible fidelity and going forward the choice of the art that we had had. Right. So that's what you spent time on.
Okay, no, Jeremy, no, this is not a good argument. This is a dumb fucking argument. So when you say, oh, you spent time on this, but you couldn't have spent time on something else, do you actually know how a video game cutscene is made? Specifically in Mass Effect, cutscenes are made within the game engine. What does this mean? This means that instead of having a pre-rendered cutscene, which means that you render the cutscene and then you take a recording of it, like you're recording in real life. In Mass Effect, most cutscenes are not pre-rendered. Most cutscenes happen using the in-game engine. This means that when you go to a cutscene, there's a set of parameters that happen, where the parameter 1 will say camera angle here, parameter 2 will say lighting here, parameter 3 will say character walks here. And it creates the scene as you go. This is one of the reasons why you encounter a lot of glitches in some of these cutscenes, because they're being rendered in real time. When you render things in real time, would you like to know how much time it takes to change the camera angle? You go into the code, you call the object that has the code that tells you the parameters for that camera, and camera angle 75 might be the ass shot. Changing it to camera angle 78 would tilt the camera up a handful of degrees, showing more of the area and less of the ass. That's it. One parameter. That's all that's needed. Because the cutscenes are rendered in real time. The engine renders them in real time. It takes no time to go to the code and say, okay, tilt the camera up. That's not a lot of development time. It's not. But apparently Jeremy, in Jeremy's world, where he doesn't understand basic shit about game design, but he wants to critique game design, he can complain that they didn't spend enough time on booty when it doesn't take any time at all to change a camera angle in a real-time rendered scene. When you pre-render a scene, you have to do all of that, and then you have to render it on the end of the studio and build the scene and record it, and sometimes that can take several days depending on the equipment you're using for the rendering process. When you're using the in-game engine, this is not the case. Using an in-game engine lets you do these things in real time super quickly, and I don't mean to sit here and harp on this particular point, but as somebody who loves game design and wishes that I had actually had the opportunity to get into it and loves studying stuff like this, knowing this makes Jeremy's take rub me the wrong way. It's like when we covered that guy who got upset about Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse and didn't know anything about animating on particular frames, but he had a whole lot of opinions about the animation. This reads the exact same way to me.
Unfortunately, despite these improvements, the changes being made to Mass Effect, Walt just concluded in his interview with Metro by revealing that the third game's controversial ending would remain unchanged. Now that's the bigger problem.
So wait a minute, hold on. A camera angle that requires one parameter change, which takes a handful of microseconds. They should have spent those microseconds on the game ending. Something that would have required a huge endeavor to change. And then you would functionally have a different game. This is a remaster of a game. No, it's not a remake, it's a remaster. If you want a remake of the games, then yes, changing the ending is perfectly acceptable. A remaster is different, Jeremy. A remake is like when you take the original Resident Evil on the PlayStation 1 or the original Metal Gear Solid on the PlayStation 1, and then you have the Resident Evil remake or Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes on the GameCube. Those are remakes. They redo the entire game with the idea to bring it up to modern standards. That's not what this is. This is a quality of life enhancement on top of a remaster. A remaster is like Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time or Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2, the remasters of those that came out on the PlayStation 3 and onward. Those are remasters where you have the opportunity to update the visuals, add some more systems into the game, add some quality of life enhancements, but ultimately you have the same game. Jeremy, if you want a different ending, I agree with you. Multicolored explosions was stupid. But if you really want a different ending, then maybe you should be pushing for a remake and not a remaster or a re-release. This is a remaster, Jeremy. Remasters don't do this. Remasters don't change the endings. Remakes change the endings. You're making up shit to get angry at. You desperately need content, so you are making up garbage.
Quote, sure, you know the controversy around the ending, he admitted, and we understand, I certainly understand how it didn't hit with some people, a lot of people. But I didn't think you suddenly go in and try to change anything in that regards. Why not? I mean, you're changing a lot of other things. I mean, I suppose that's a lot more work.
It is a lot more work,
now, is it
Jeremy?
the end of the world?
It is a lot more work, Jeremy. It's the difference between a handful of microseconds to change a camera angle and literally updating the lore. Just... Heather says, I think for situations like this, Sarah should bounce more so the recording can watch. Yeah, Jeremy, look, do you need... Is this what you need? Is this what you need? Like, this? Is this the thing that you need in your video game so desperately? Okay, cool. It's on the internet. There you go. Be happy. Fucking Christ.
No. I think, to me, it's not really relevant. I don't know that I was super duper interested in rebuying this game anyway. You can see here, why must everything, this via Sophia Narwitz, why must everything these days be first viewed through the lens of spiciness? As someone who is actually gay, I gotta...
Why can't you say sexuality? Are you worried about being demonetized because you said the word sexuality? Is the sex word bad for you?
say this stuff is annoying. Pointing to an article from The Verge, Mass Effect Legendary Edition won't add new content or more gay romances. What? What? Why?
Well, let's see here. Because there are people who, in a video game where they can romance anyone, would like the option to romance, well, literally anyone there. If you were playing as Femme Shepherd, your ability to romance was limited a little more. If you're going to... While I understand that because this is a remaster, not a remake, they weren't going to add a whole lot more stuff, and yes, The Verge's article is kind of stupid because, again, this is not a remaster, or not a remake, this is a remaster. For you to sit here and go, this is stupid, why would they add more gay romances? You know which part of your audience you're pandering to right now, Jeremy. You know.
What is even the point of this? And then you see Game Rant. One thing Mass Effect Legendary Edition should change, but won't. Mass Effect Legendary Edition releases in a few months, but the remaster decided not to correct past mistakes when it comes to same team romance. Why? Why?
Do you have an argument besides why?
I mean, is this all these weirdos think of?
Give me an argument besides... Wait, Jeremy, wait, buddy. Do not... I'm gonna jump into 2-quote way. I'm gonna jump to 2-quote way right now. Do not be the person that is upset that people want the ability to romance more characters in their role-playing game when you yourself are upset that you don't get to see booty. The same arguments get to be made against you, Jeremy. Why are weirdos like you so focused on fucking animated butt? But then, why are these weirdos so focused on gay sex? I desperately need my anime asshole. Like, dude. You threw a stone from a glass house, and it was fucking hilarious.
Yeah. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that all these people want to do is write about SJW culture war stuff. But they end up having...
Wait. Speaking of stones from glass houses, Jeremy, you're telling me that the person who made, 100 videos on Brie Larson basically talks ad nauseum about the culture war. And you're sitting here going, all these people talk about is the culture war. All these people talk about it. It's too much. Like, dude. I don't understand, Jeremy. You're upset about these things that you yourself are doing. And I just do not get it. I do not get it, Jeremy. Do you need booty so much that you are willing to abandon your life-term goal of peeing in your basement so that you can call other people out for wanting same-sex relationships and then call other people out for all the shit you do? Okay. Cool. That's as far as I'm getting in that. I cannot tolerate any more of that. He's literally being an he's literally being an SJW right now. He's the anti-SJW being an SJW. Just black. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more of my content, please go ahead and check the sidebar. You'll find more of that. Hit the like button, hit subscribe if you haven't already, share with your friends if you want to. Do me a huge favor and check the description, and you will be able to see any of my other stuff that you can do to support my channel and what I do, if that's a thing that you do want to do. And as always, everyone, please insert end the video tagline here. Why? Jeremy, why? I don't understand, Jeremy. None of this makes sense. None of this. Found the bigot, perk the ears up. He's too busy cooming to pee in the basement. Yeah, Spike, I think I'm gonna do more quartering videos. I just need... I don't want to sit here and, like, peruse his content so much. So the biggest help would be if people can send me the videos that they want me to cover on him. When Jeremy does the dumb shit and you want it covered, then let me know. And I will gladly take a look at things. In the meantime, I'm going to eat potato chips and try to make it to where you guys don't have to hear it. He made the same argument about the She-Ra reboot? No, great. Where's your Sir's potato chip ASMR? I mean, if you need potato chip ASMR, I could do this. There, is that what you needed? He complained that the main character wasn't sexualized enough. Isn't She-Ra like 15? She-Ra's 13, and he's complaining that she wasn't sexualized enough? Dude. Sometimes they say the quiet part out loud, I guess. Oh, she's 17 to 18? Okay, now I need to check. I need to check. Okay. You're right, 17 to 18 years old. Okay, you're right. But even then, like, what's wrong with this redesign? What's wrong with this? Like, this is literally just an art style difference. Like, really? How is this upsetting? He can't, like, jump on me and go, you just don't like sexualized females. You're an SJW. You hate sex. You're not sex positive. Like, dude, look at my fucking avatar. Don't even. I am fully resilient to this argument in this form. I am immune to this argument in this form. Jesus. Like, look, would you like to know a valid argument about when undersexualizing a character is bad? Like here. What's her name? Girl who wears pink in Mortal Kombat. I can't remember her name. She has the monster face. Okay, so here is Melina, right? This character. Now, let me explain. There is a situation where I could argue that a character should be sexualized, and when you desexualize them, you take something away from the character. So, in the original lore for Melina in Mortal Kombat, she sexualized herself to compensate for her face. Because she was a genetic experiment using a, I can't remember the race, but using two different races together, where she got this particular face, but the rest of her body was normal. She would over-sexualize her body so as to cope with the trauma of being who she was. Edenian and Tarkatan. Yes, the Tarkatan DNA gave her the face, the Edenian DNA gave her the body. And she specifically sexualized herself so that she could cope. Because this was what she used to look like in lore. She would sexualize herself as a coping mechanism. It was part of the DNA of her character that she did this so that she could handle the mental strain of what she had been going through. It's why she always wore the mask. She was uncomfortable with who she was as a person, so she did this to gain comfort with who she was as a person. It's written into her lore. She ends up looking more like this later. And it's strange to me because I don't think she actually ever got over the Tarkatan part of her DNA that led her to sexualize herself. So this one kind of confuses me. But this is one of the few examples that I can think of where, like, desexualizing a character makes less sense for the character because they did it to themselves in lore as a coping mechanism for trauma. That is one of the only times that I can think about it. The only other time that comes to mind is, like, Kill la Kill. If the characters in Kill la Kill were sexualized less, if they had less skin visible, the actual lore of the show would not make sense. I didn't say as a coping mechanism for Trump. Yeah, when somebody like the Quatering throws a tantrum about it, it's weird. And, like, if Melina got more comfortable with her body as she got older, it makes sense to change her design. Though I don't know if they did that. Sorry, I'm consuming chips before the next segment, so I'm muting so you guys don't have to hear me eat chips. Why did it need to be part of the lore in the first place? Doesn't matter. The writer wrote it that way. You can argue why did a writer have to do something for 1,000 reasons, but it's never going to be a good argument. The writer decided that's what they wanted, so that's what they did. And the chips are sweet heat kettle chips. Sweet heat barbecue. So, like, as an example, if I'm a fan of a property, and that property changes something, I'm allowed to critique it. But if my position is like, why was that in the first place, the answer is almost always going to default to, that's what the original artist intended. If the writer wanted fan service first and then made that story for Melina afterwards, it doesn't matter. That was the original artist's intent, and I'm not about to shame artists for what they do. Like, take a character like 2B from Nier Automata. Why was she designed the way she was? Because the artist wanted to make a sexy character. That was it. That's why her design is what it is. And there's nothing wrong with that. Yep. Wait, what person are you talking about? You said a fake redhead, somebody who's like a super anti-SJW? Mecha Random. Let's take a look here. Let's see here. Mecha Random 42. So who is this person and why
I always knew I'd be the one to call out these modern-day, quote-unquote, feminists.
What?
And if you don't want a whole bunch of truth bombs, click off this video right now.
What? What? Wait. A bunch of truth bombs. I have to see this. I have to see this. What is this?
Hello, everyone. I am Mecha Random 42, the one, the only, the original, your favorite YouTube consumer advocate, Harpy. I call out the alt-left wackadoo hate mobs. I tell it like it is. And
What?
I use a writing crop for emphasis. Some people call me a harpy because I do harp on things. Some people call me a consumer advocate. Some people call me your worst nightmare. Oh, yes.
Okay, so I got a couple of criticisms already. I have a couple criticisms. First and foremost, I want to say that if you're going to use a green screen, don't do this shit. See this right here? Where it's cut off? You know how you fix that? There's an easy way to fix it, okay? We're gonna go into Photoshop. We're gonna go into Photoshop. We have to. One sec. Let's... New. Okay, so let's say that you are here. Hello, my name is Mecha Random, and I don't know how to use a fucking green screen, okay? I exist in the this-verse. And my camera is here. See? Very good camera. My camera captures this much. So when I step out of frame, the camera cuts off, right? Now, let's say that my very well-drawn camera is here. Now it covers this much. And I have all of this space to be. Oh! But then I would look really small in the frame, and that would be bad? Here, let me help you. I can give you assistance here. My camera's not covering enough of me. Fine. Zoom in, fucker. Fake news, the drawing is not perfectly to scale. Oh my god. I will nom chips now. Wait. This person will try to get the FBI on you if you do a video on them? What? How does that make sense? Oh, hello, Growlith. Has she sent the FBI at people for doing video responses to her? Okay. I'm done now. I'm done with chips. She's threatened to sue Mundane Matt for what? Like, what's the context of the suit? Okay, you know what we need to do? If we are to cover this person, I want to see this video. I really do. So here's what we're going to do then. Let me get my blah 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 my shit together. Where's my Streamlabs? There we go. Is she gonna be like this the entire episode? Okay. Then we'll have to be here. Wait! No, we don't! We can do this. We can do something even better. Aha! We did it. Now, I can be exactly how I want. She's looking directly at me. She's going to do me a spank. I don't want her to. Okay. So I've never heard of this person before. I've never heard of Mech Random before. But I was recommended to watch her on stream, so I guess you guys are going to have to experience this with me.
I always knew I'd be the one to call out these modern-day, quote-unquote, feminists.
Why do you sound so fake?
And if you don't want a whole bunch of truth bombs, click off this video right now.
I would like truth bombs. Please give me truth bombs.
Hello everyone, I am MechaRandom42, the one, the only, the original, your favorite YouTube consumer advocate, Harpy. I call out the alt-left wackadoo hate mobs.
Alt-left? What the fuck is an alt-left? Please explain what an alt-left is. Also, why the fuck do you sound like that? I'm just... Okay, no, Mech Random, seriously. Why the fuck do you sound like this? It sounds like you're a really bad William Shatner, but you don't know where to put the pauses. Just fucking why? Why do you sound this way? This sounds so fake.
I tell it like it is, and I use a writing crop for emphasis. Some people call me a harpy because I do harp on things. Some people call me a consumer advocate. Some people call me your worst nightmare. Oh, yes.
Your audio mixing is about as mine. Why are you... Why are you doing
green
this?
Screen.
Why are you doing this? Why are you subjecting me to this? Is it done?
This is normally the part of the video where I pull up an article or have something to bounce off of. I'm going off of a Twitter thread that I responded to a couple of days ago.
Okay.
And the whole general point of this video and of my statement that I really can't fit into one little thread is the fact that modern day feminism has turned our men, our cherished, beloved, needed, and respected males of our society, our husbands, brothers, uncles.
Stop the fucking hyperbole! Jesus Christ! 1 minute and 46 seconds of your video has been grandstanding and hyperbole. And I know that I make long-ass content, so maybe I shouldn't be the one talking about this, but holy shit, get to the point!
Nephews, sons, cousins. It is turning the males of our society into a bunch of people who are too afraid to even interact with the opposite gender.
Wait, what? How is feminism making men afraid to interact with the opposite gender? Explain. I'm confused. I need context.
If that's who they're going for. And I'm not blaming you guys. I am not blaming you guys at all. You know who I'm blaming? The modern day, quote unquote, third wave feminists.
The modern day, quote unquote, third wave feminist. Oh my god, this sounds so rehearsed. This sounds so rehearsed. Like, you wanted to make yourself sound like a harpy, and you did it.
You know, these ones who just have to knock men down. The ones who have to tell you that you're bad, that you're an ist, you're a phobe, you're wrong, that you are just part of the problem, and, you know, the women who have to and scream about the patriarchy.
Big Red? Really? Big Red. It's 2021 and we're still on Big Red. How are we here? How has this not changed? How has this narrative not changed at all, ever?
You're the problem, lady. You know you're the problem. And the other problem is the men who want to come in and say, oh, well, maybe men shouldn't be such creeps. Maybe men shouldn't do this and they won't get me. And we're talking a little bit about the Me Too's. You know, the women, some of these women, and I'm going to call them out. Some of these women.
Does she sound like Trump to you? I'm sorry, guys in the chat, please. Does this not sound like how Trump waffles through his shit? Please don't tell me. Please tell me I'm wrong. I'm hearing it's the feminists, the third wave feminists. You know who you are. They know who they are. They know who they are.
Use that as an excuse to get everything they want, whether the guy did anything or not. And
wait, do you think that the Me Too movement is trying to convict people who didn't do things? Okay, look. Yes, there are women who do in fact lie about this. Yes, people lie about sexual assault and abuse. It happens. That is not a good enough reason to denounce an entire movement.
And you know it and I know it. Everybody knows it. And the fact that these men have the nerve to come into a Twitter thread where I am flat out calling out these alt-left wackadoo hate mob feminists.
Oh my fucking god, it's the these alt-left wackadoo hate mob feminists. You give Trump and Kelly Loeffler runs for their money in hyperbole. There's an incredibly poisoned well here.
For ruining dating for all of us. Well, how do they ruin dating, Mecca, you might ask? They make it so that nobody even wants to bother to ask women out for fear of, oh, is she just going to change her mind after something that we have, like a night of fun, for example, and then she's going to slap me with a Me Too afterwards. Because that happens. Don't deny that happens. And
it does happen, but the fact that it happens does not mean you get to denounce an entire movement that is designed to strike out against systemic abuse.
Anybody who just says, oh yes, but they're taking out, and any man afraid of that just shouldn't be a creep. That's not the point. That's not the point, because 9 times out of 10, you're going to have men who actually are not creepos. You're going to have men who are actually decent guys who just don't want to put up with the headache of some woman nagging and complaining and bitching and sniping at him and snipping at him and emasculating him and telling him how...
Can you... Do you have anything besides charged language? Jesus Christ.
Oh, he's wrong and his opinion's wrong and everything he says and does and thinks is wrong just because of what's in between his legs.
Nobody fucking says that men are wrong just because they have a penis. What? Who is saying this? Who? Who is saying that men are bad because they have penis? I have penis. What's wrong with... Oh my fucking god. I want to die. I want to die a little bit. This hurts. This hurts my brain. This hurts my head meats. They are... My head meats are currently chicken placenta and they are being scrambled. Who is saying that they're afraid to date because they're afraid that women are gonna say that they're rapists? Who? Who? Jesus Christ! Yes, people lie about this stuff. Duh, I know. That happened before the Me Too movement as well, though. Fucking post hoc ergo proctor hoc.
And how she's so much better. Even though these women, these fake women, and I'm calling them out on being
fake women?
Because a lot of the times they don't actually even believe in what they're talking about. They're
Fake?
just using whatever they
Fake
can
women?
to get back at daddy. They're using it to get back at daddy because they were told they were pretty.
Wait, you get to psychoanalyze people now? Wait. Feminists hate men to get back at daddy. Oh, I can understand why you weren't using that riding crop properly now. It makes perfect sense.
This is when they were children. And then they grew up and they didn't actually get a knight in white shining armor coming in to rescue them and to take care of their sorry butts. You know why? Because they have these little liberal arts degrees or gender studies degrees.
The fuck? Is this 2016? Are we still in the... you have a liberal arts degree, so your opinion is invalid. You have a gender studies degree, so your opinion is invalid. Jesus fucking Christ. Do you have any understanding of sociology? No, who am I getting? Of course you don't. What the fuck?
Where they're out there telling men how horrible they are. They are mad at daddy because they have to work for a living.
What? They're mad at daddy because they have to work for a living? Make this make sense! Make this make sense!
And they were told that Prince Charming was going to come. And guess what? He's not. And they're mad and they're bitter because of it. And
What?
it is, who knows what came first? Did the chicken come first or did the egg come first in this instance? Were they miserable because they're mad at daddy because he lied to them and said that you're a princess and you're clearly not? Or are they just mad because they're filled with all these lies and they see Disney and all these fairy tales and the fairy tales don't come true and they're forced to work and support and do all of these jobs like running comic book industries?
Ruining comic book. What? Guys, I'm breaking. I'm breaking. I'm breaking. What the? Who told told you Prince Charming was gonna come and take everything away? Nobody. Nobody. Why is this a thing? Explain. Why is this a thing? Why does this channel exist? Why does this channel have subscribers? You're fighting an opponent made of straw and silicon.
And they're not equipped to do that, so they have to be bitter, horrible, miserable people to get back at the patriarchy. That's why these men aren't coming to rescue you, because you might be kind of unlikable, ladies. Not my viewers, obviously, but some of the women who are out there just existing, just to tell you how you're wrong, why what you say is wrong, why they don't need to take your opinion seriously.
I do not need a 40-year-old white dude to tell me what...
Nobody has to breathe.
You just randomly shoved Brie Larson in there? What did that even have to do with anything? You're arguing an opponent made of straw. You're arguing against a straw man.
And that is part of the problem with a lot of modern day society, is that a lot of women don't have the nerve to call out their own, to say, hey ladies, stop it, alright? We're here for equality. We're here because we need everybody to coexist on this planet. I mean, maybe not every person, but pretty much most of us, and most animals, plants, insects, we all have a place in the ecosystem that is the planet.
Wait.
Right? We are in
Wait. Are you gonna argue that women's biological place is the kitchen or some shit? Wait. What?
biodome that is floating throughout space. And we're just sitting here on top of this little rock, and we are here to procreate and reproduce and...
What are they? Why are they? What do they mean?
What does this have to do with anything?
And to keep...
Wait. I'm not going to read into that. I'm not going to read into that. I refuse to read into that.
Going as a species. And when you start separating so much to the fact that men and women don't even want to be in the same place together.
Where do men and women not want to be in the same place together? Jesus fucking Christ. Where is this happening? I know a lot of feminists. Where is this happening? What? Everybody has their place. Men and women are being separated forever. Where is this happening? Where is this thing? Where is this massive, horrible thing happening? What?
Because, let's face it, a lot of men get a little bit intimidated. And they get a little bit afraid. Oh,
so what? That's been happening since the dawn of time.
am I going to say something's going to offend her? Am I going to say something that she's going to snap and re-at?
That's just human interaction 101. Reading a room. Figuring out what you can and can't say. Figuring out what is a faux pas and what's not. That's normal. That's normal shit. You're upset at normal shit. Normal shit. You've used that joke twice.
Like that. Like that. Am I going to say something that is going to make her go off on me? And maybe I don't want the headache. Maybe I don't want to deal with that crap.
Have you... Okay, look, as somebody who knows a lot of feminists, as somebody who considers themselves a feminist as well, it's not difficult, okay? The conversation's not difficult. If you are in a conversation with somebody who is a feminist, approaching that stuff with good faith can save you a lot of headache. It can. It's very easy. Don't make rape jokes. Don't make jokes about people needing to go back into the kitchen. Don't insinuate that somebody's purpose is for procreation. Don't insinuate that women should be sexualized. And you will be able to handle 99% of conversations with feminists just fine. Just fine. It's It's not difficult. It is really and truly not.
Maybe I'm just gonna stay single and keep all my money to myself and not have some miserable woman coming home to nag me for basically having the nerve to exist, right? Maybe that's what I was calling out. And
nobody's gonna say you shouldn't have the right to exist. Okay, look, the handful of rare extremists that are angry at men for merely existing, just existing with a penis. I'm not saying they don't exist. I am saying that they exist in such insignificant numbers that you are arguing against effectively nothing.
this thread, and maybe it wasn't an invitation to just further bash males.
Wait, this was about a Twitter thread. Where's the Twitter thread?
Oh, well, if men don't want to be viewed as creeps, maybe they shouldn't be creeps.
Where's the Twitter thread?
Male
Where is
feminists
it?
are the biggest creeps
Where is
on
it?
this
Where
planet,
is
in
the
my
Twitter thread? Is it-
experience. Basically, I was going to say opinion, but no, I'm changing it to experience. These are the men who want to come in and insult and shame any woman who doesn't follow that narrative, that message.
This was all about a Twitter
And that's
thread.
even worse. That's even worse, is being an independent, free-thinking woman who actually appreciates the male species, right? The males of the species. I say it like it's a different species. You guys are just gonna have to cancel me.
This is content made for the lowest common denominator, and I think I'm gonna vomit. Okay, so where is this Twitter thread? This was apparently all in response to a Twitter thread. Where is it?
And what happens every single time when you don't follow the alt-left SJW men and bad narrative?
There's a difference between patriarchy is bad and men are bad, okay? The argument that men are bad is an incorrect argument made off of bad base axioms. The argument that patriarchy is bad is arguing that the noted systemic hierarchical structure that people seem to default into, especially here in the States and also in several other countries, should be analyzed for its efficacy. If you're going to try to argue that patriarchy doesn't exist, and yet, even though there is an equal divide of men and women in the country, and yet there are more men in positions of power, most of that is based off of ages and ages of prejudice. And we are slowly working it out. We're not there yet, but we are working it out. If you don't believe that patriarchy or people who believe in patriarchy exist, then do me a favor, please go check out the Proud Boys for just a second, where they literally tell all their women to not come out to their marches. They would do better being in the kitchen, and so on and so forth. All this shit exists. It's easily verifiable. You are halfway through your video that is supposed to be a response to a Twitter thread, and I have not seen the Twitter thread. I've seen a lot of grandstanding. I've seen a lot of buzzwords. I've seen a lot of just dropping in memes. But I've not seen, at any point, the thread you're supposed to be responding to so that I can see if you're strawmanning them or not. Because here's the thing. If I had the ability to see that thread, I might, just might, have to agree with what you're saying. Because you might be dealing with an extremist who needs to understand that their position is one based off of terrible base axioms. You're right. That could be the case. But I am not inclined, with all of the buzzwords, with all of the other shit you've packed in here for your grandiose narrative, I am not convinced that I am going to find that thread. I'm not convinced it's in here.
Then you get men coming into your thread to tell you why you're wrong. It's like, seriously, what are you trying to do? Actually, Rob from Midnight's Edge, you guys see him on the channel from time to time, and sometimes he pops in as Pope Bob Iger. He has this analogy, and is absolutely legit and perfect and correct, that a lot of these quote-unquote male feminists are only doing that to score an easy lay with some of these ladies who are, let's face it, if they're reciting a bunch of NPC bullshit, then they're probably not too sharp anyway.
You just infantilized. So you've infantilized all feminists, and you think that people who are feminists are doing it just to get laid. I don't think I have. Okay, you know, I'm gonna go into the story. I've said it before. I'll say it again. I'll do it very quick way. I dated for about 4 years. I dated a very, very toxic feminist, and I was not a feminist during that. We had constant arguments for 4 years over her positions. It was after we were done dating, after that messy breakup had happened, that I started actually researching some of the things she had said, because during the relationship, I was not compelled to. During the relationship, I was compelled to just try to score points by winning the arguments, by going and confirming my own biases. When the relationship was over, then I started trying to learn this shit. Now, you'd think, if your analogy held true, at least for me, that I would have learned all that stuff during the relationship, so that instead of trying to win those arguments, I was agreeing with them so that I could get more pussy. Right? That's what this means? Except that didn't happen. And it doesn't happen in a lot of cases. While, yes, I'm sure there is the odd man that became a feminist so that they could date feminists, so that they could take women who you're going to infantilize and then, I guess, abuse them. I'm sure that man exists. I'm sure he exists somewhere. But I don't think I've met him. I don't think I have. Like, at all. It's not a perfect analogy. It's a very flawed analogy that relies on a lot of presuppositions that aren't demonstrative in reality.
They're not the brightest crayon in the box.
It's fun to obey the machine.
They might not actually understand how a lot of things work past, you know, what's right there immediately in front of them. These are the people who missed their turn because they weren't planning to be in the left-hand lane a couple of blocks early, knowing that they're going to be turning left, right? This is how a lot of society works. They don't see 2 steps in front of them, and they don't actually understand what the real issue is. And a lot of these men come in and they want to take advantage of that. And it is kind of predatory. I'm not going to lie. Maybe.
So male feminists are necessarily predatory because they're doing it to get sex. Okay. For this position to make sense, you have to infantilize women to begin with. And it doesn't matter that feminism was the position that the male adopted in this scenario in order to be predatory. What matters is that they are a predator, period. You're deflecting from the important part of the conversation to focus on the feminist part.
Maybe these feminist sort of types only deal with men who actually are sort of predatory towards them.
What? What? What kind of dumb shit? Okay, you know what? No. This is nothing but bullshit. Is your Twitter thread in here?
We could do male feminine to like all that stuff, to pretend to like Ani DeFranco because, oh, I really feel so much for your women's issues. Meanwhile, they're just trying to creep in on, you know, basically pretty much an easy woman.
Oh my god, do you think feminists are easy women? Look, again, I'm not denying that there's at least somebody who's used this tactic before. I'm not denying that there are people who basically adopt the belief system of somebody they want to have sex with in order to increase the likelihood that they will be a desirable partner for that person. I'm not saying this doesn't happen. But this argument feels very much in bad faith. Saying that just male feminists do this. They certainly do. We're all feminists just to get pussy, apparently.
You can just listen to her yap and like, yep, I agree with you. Yes, dear, yes, dear, yes, dear, yes, dear. And then you use her for the night and then move on about your merry little day. And these women don't even realize that they've been taken advantage of. They don't even...
Yeah, this is just infantilization. You're arguing that these women would not have known that they've been taken advantage of, even though it would be blatantly obvious. I'm gonna fast forward through your whole video to see if you've actually showed the Twitter thread that led to this conversation on your channel, so that I can see if you're actually arguing against a straw man. But as far as content goes, this has been devoid of that.
And realize that, and then they keep going on about, oh, men suck, men suck, men suck. That actually will deal with their crap. Family.
Okay,
you know,
where is the Twitter thread? Where is the Twitter thread?
Awesome.
Where is it? Show me the Twitter thread. Why is Trigglypuff here? What? What is going on? Who is this content for?
Out of the way. Hopefully,
Okay, where?
like day self? No.
Where is it? Where is the Twitter thread that you're responding to that led to this tirade?
You know why? Because
why
they're
is
probably
Ray there?
wrong. And how come
Are you
on their own?
It's not here.
Button, and if you want,
It's not here. It's not here. The Twitter thread isn't here. The thing that led to this conversation may as well not exist. You included so many animations and pictures and everything, but the one thing that we would have needed to determine if you're arguing in good faith, the original thread, is missing. How is that not there? That's the one thing I need. All of this hyperbole, not necessary. The actual thing you were talking about, probably necessary. I'm gonna go ram my head into a wall. I'm gonna go suck a popsicle full of nails. Both of those sound like infinitely more enjoyable tasks than what I just went through. Completely, totally, and fully. If you enjoyed this video, if this is a thing that you like, if this is a thing that you want to see more of, I don't know. Let me know in the comment section. Just converse there. Converse in the comment section. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. Comment section will be fine. Nothing bad will come from this video. Nothing bad will happen. Just subscribe if you want to subscribe. Hit the like button if you haven't already. Share with friends, I guess, even though that's probably tantamount to hurting people. Maybe don't do that. If you want to support the channel and what I do, please go ahead and check the description below. I am broken. I'm completely and totally broken. And I think I'm done. Fully and honestly. Insert in the video tagline here. Get me out of here. I want to die. I want to die. There. We've at least gotten something out of this. I just... My brain hurts. There are brain meats in my head that are currently screaming in rebellion. The one good thing we got out of that is this picture specifically. Like that came out of this, I guess. Is that a good thing? I don't even know. Man, I have no fucking idea. But it's there. It's there. Just kill me. You left something on the Discord server for me? Oh no. Oh no. Oh no, please don't tell me. I'm scared of anything I might find. Anything at all. Okay, that was actually kind of funny. She's stare. If we kill you, sirs, who will we make fun of? Good question. I don't know. I don't know. I am internally screaming. Fully and totally. I have a headache. I have a headache. I don't know if I'm continuing forward after that. What was the fucking other thing that I wanted to cover today? If an unbeliever asks... I don't think I got the spoons to cover that shit. Honestly, I don't. I don't think I do. So how many people do you reckon already had a fun time to the Avatar? I don't know. They were already doing that beforehand. I needed to be better prepared for this stream. Jesus Christ. You don't even see the Avatar anymore? Yeah, fair. She's sniffing. She's Joe Bidening my ear. Hold on, I have to take it. Come here, Twitter. There we go. Yeah, I think I am going to take some self-care time. Before I go, I do want to let y'all know that YouTube should be introducing a clipping option also. Yeah, off the curb, we're going to have to handle it a different day. I can't. I do not have... I do not have the spoons. Yeah, YouTube is going to be introducing clipping, which will be good because I'm going to need you guys to clip shit because it's going to go on TikTok. I think doing the streaming multiple days in a row has started to burn me a little bit. I don't know if it's available on the app or website. I don't know the details. I just saw that they're apparently doing it. Yeah, maybe painting some guns. Who knows? Who knows? Yeah, I'm gonna lay down. Oh, it's fine. I may end up covering more of this person. It depends on how the video does. while I'm gone, can you guys do me a huge favor? If you can find me a relevant Caitlin Bennett video that needs to be tackled, that I have not tackled already, please do so. Because making one or two of those every now and again seems to help channel growth a lot. It also helps that she's the antithesis of everything I stand for, so there's that. So if you guys can find me a thing to respond to and chuck it at me on Twitter or on Discord, then I will tackle it in the next episode, as well as probably that vegan teacher and also Off the Kirb Ministries that we weren't able to get into today. Doesn't she have a website? I mean, yeah, but we'll tackle the things that are able to be on YouTube. That all said, I'm gonna go take some meds. I'm gonna lay down. I'm gonna go engage in self-care. Thank y'all for watching. I'm done. Jesus.